views expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of WPSL. However, we encourage you to like and share them on Facebook because it's time for the Sue Ellen Sanders Show with Sue Ellen Sanders.
And we do encourage that you like and share the views, especially when we'll be able to post this show on YouTube. Cliff has his magic fingers and he'll be able to post it, and then you can also watch it on demand should you desire. Today we are lucky to have with us two folks. One I just met and the other one I've known for probably 20 years. Stacy Malinowski is the program director of Mustard Seed Ministries, and she contacted me and she said, you know that annual letter carrier food drive that's coming up? And I said, yeah, the one where they leave bags out at your mailbox and want you to fill them. She said, let's do a radio show. So she roped Mitch Mullin into coming on the air, and he's with the US Postal Service. He's also, I called him the boots on the ground, man on the street. He's a postal carrier, and you are voluntarily lifting all those extra cans of food coming up on May 11th.
That's correct, Sue Ellen.
And why is that?
Why is that? Well, this is the 27th annual letter carrier food drive. It's kind of our way of giving back to the community. You know, we're out on the streets 6 days a week. We see, roughly about 1,000 customers per day. And you see the high end, the low end, the in between. There's always a need out there for assistance, and it's kind of our way, and we're really proud of giving back to the community in this form.
And, certainly when you think about it, what better way to harness what you already give to the community, that you are out in the community every day. You are at the mailboxes or at the houses every day. And so this gives you the opportunity to pick up food, all types of food, and deliver it, and it goes to very many sources. Do you have any idea, Mitch, how it all came about, what the history is?
Oh boy, I'd have to really check my notes a little on that. It was actually some stations long ago. It's more or less an independent per station some time ago. And I don't know when it started, but eventually that kind of caught on, and the spirit of that became national.
So it was started as a grassroots
it was
effort.
started, very well. A grassroots at several post offices in several areas. Eventually, our national union was aware of it, and we decided to pursue it. And now we have, all 50 states participate in the letter carrier food drive at this point. So it's gone from just, the grassroots, like you mentioned, to a whole national effort.
Well, how does it work? Now, we're going to get the bags to fill up well before the pickup date of Saturday, May 11th.
Correct. The week of.
The week of.
Yes.
So you'll get the bags the week of.
The week before.
Before.
Yeah, right. At some point during the time, probably Thursday-ish, Wednesday-ish, probably. We'll probably send out a postcard of sorts to remind them in the first of the week. Then the bags will come out a little bit later and a little closer to the Saturday, so it's fresh in their minds and they're available to fill up and leave in your mailbox.
Do people have to also just leave them that day, or can they leave them in the days preceding? What if they fill their bag up right away and then want to put it out for you while they're thinking of it? Does that ever happen?
We try not to encourage pre-donating, but if you do miss us on Saturday, we're always happy to pick it up Monday or the following Tuesday.
But no later than that, because you have to start distributing.
Well, we have to distribute the food to our partners.
Yes.
And once that's gone, or once that event happens, it's kind of awkward and cumbersome. It's a real large event, a real large effort. The one-day drive is how we like to shoot it.
What are the sort of items that you suggest are best to donate?
Well, non-perishable items, of course.
Especially in Florida,
right? Oh, yes, right, exactly. Non-perishable. anything really goes. Prepared meals. Well,
Like cans of chili.
yeah. Let me ask Stacy. She's
Okay.
probably she's going to be the recipient. What would you like to see?
Well, for us, when we talk about our food drive, the big thing for us is things that we know that the families need. So
Okay.
since we don't know who our families are, but we look for peanut butter because obviously protein and canned
And
meats like
Everyone loves peanut butter.
that's right.
Yeah.
And you look for your canned chicken, your canned tuna, pasta, spaghetti sauce, anything that would know to help a family with a meal. You know, cookies are nice, but we really push really hard. Soups, especially our seniors. Those are part of our most vulnerable population that we have within our community, and those that are disabled. And they're not going to make a big full core meal. They're going to go after that can of soup and maybe a sandwich. It's easy to do. Things like that would be really helpful for us.
So the top of the list would include all types of soups, especially those meaty soups,
Correct.
the chunky type soups.
Absolutely.
And canned meats like tuna fish and canned chicken,
Sure.
canned salmon. How about those little Vienna sausages?
Absolutely. And you're talking anything from canned beef stew, anything where you could have a meal in a can is great, but even just the families that could use anything. So whether it's vegetables or canned fruit's a big deal, you know.
And boxes work too,
Pasta,
right?
yes, absolutely. Rice, all of that.
So the question's been asked of me before. Is it okay if it's something that they have to mix other ingredients with?
Absolutely.
So yes, even if it requires like mac and cheese, butter and
Yeah.
milk to add to it,
Absolutely.
it's okay.
And those are
Don't put the butter and milk
No,
in.
no,
though.
no butter, no milk. But yeah, those are very popular items we see.
Yeah.
When you're looking at families that are in need, but we're talking many agencies across this community, our goal is to raise about 170,000 pounds of food, and hopefully we'll exceed that. That's a huge amount of food, but we're also looking at so many agencies that are giving that out all across our community. So whether it's from Sarah's Kitchen or Graceway Village, or we've got the Image of Christ, we have Mustard Seed, Salvation Army, the Up Center, the list goes on, Lighthouse Baptist Church. There's quite a few of them that are part of the team that's going to make sure that this food goes all the way back completely across our community.
Yeah,
How
and that is the nice thing. The food does stay within the community, so the donations received from a route quite possibly will go back to recipients on that very postal route.
that's interesting.
Yes.
And so it's an opportunity for people to take care of their
Neighbors,
own,
yes.
their
Right.
neighbors,
The
their
people
friends.
on the street they live on.
And the thing that's important, I think, to remember is that at any time in your life you might have a need, and that just because you're older and you're a senior and you don't have the ability to get out and to get food like you used to, or if you're a family that somebody lost a job or somebody got sick and you're temporarily down on your luck.
Hurricanes even.
Hurricanes, the hurricane times, that a lot of people, more people than I'd like to believe, live just one paycheck at a time. And when that paycheck is taken away, then they're stuck. And it's important
Yeah.
for the
Well,
families.
a statistic I heard this morning driving to work was 70% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck.
I believe
That
it.
sounded a little high to me, but I started thinking about it, and I think that's pretty much spot on.
I absolutely believe it because, for one thing, middle class and even upper middle class, they don't focus on savings accounts the way they used to.
Oh, correct, yes.
Remember, we always used to have the different savings accounts that we put aside at Christmas time.
funds,
and
yes.
Yeah, the Christmas funds, and just that type of savings is, and when I was born and my brothers and sisters were born, we had savings accounts. That's what we were given savings accounts, I think, with $5 in them. And then at birthdays or whatever, if we received money from grandma or grandpa or anything, we put a percentage of that in our savings account. And those days are gone. Nobody deals with that anymore.
That's usually our biggest issue at Mustard Seed, and as we work with people that come through the door in crisis, part of our job is to look at their financial stability. And you would be very surprised, and I'll tell you, the number one killer of any budget, without a doubt, is a car payment. And these car payments with very little down, especially our poverty individuals, they're not going to have that big down payment, so they're going to get those $600 and $700 car payments.
And even worse is, well, of course, the credit cards where, you may be paying $50 a month in fees and you're paying $50 a month to pay it off. And so it's going nowhere and you're paying for the rest of your life and you don't understand.
It sure seems that way,
yeah,
doesn't it?
It does. But also, you're right about the car payments, and nothing against car salesmen, because there are a lot of awesome car dealerships, local car dealerships out there that do a lot for the community. But I remember going to buy my first new car and saying, I don't care how much the car costs as long as I pay less than $200 a month. And so I paid $199.99 for like, I don't know, 8 years or
how do I put you in this car?
It's like
exactly.
Just give me a car with air conditioning.
Yeah.
So I mean, the car salesman must have been laughing all the way back. They must have had to come out, and it's easy to and really, when people come and they're looking for a car or they're looking for a new cell phone, because even people who can't afford to put food on their plate and don't have a house that they live in on a regular basis, they have cell phones, because cell phones are something else that you can pay by the month.
It is, and 10 years ago we would tell them in budgeting, that's not something you need right now. Okay, well, it is down now something you need, because you can do everything from your phone.
Yeah.
So now we've adjusted that budget because we know that part is crucial. The big piece for me is when we look at the food. Who comes in our door every day at Mustard Seed? We have pantries 4 days a week, and when we were looking at, we had served over 83,000 people last year. 42,000 of those were individuals that came for food, and they can only come once a month. So when you're thinking how many people are in that, and it's our seniors, it's our disabled, but more importantly, our families that are right there, which we want to call maybe the working poor. They got a job, they go to work every day, they're paying their bills, but it's just not enough, and they need that extra food.
Need that supplement
Has
just to
to
get
be
by.
a supplement to sustain them.
And it's important for the kids when they go to school to be able to have a roof over their head and a food in their bellies, or they can't learn.
100%.
And so then you have that cycle.
And I think it's 75% of St. Lucie County children qualify for food assistance or
Yes.
meal
Yes.
assistance.
Yeah.
And doing the food drive, right before Mother's Day in May, kind of helps out get us through the summer months when they're out of school, and the donations from the holidays have kind of subsequently dwindled. So it's a really good time of the year to actually do a full food drive.
How does an agency apply to be the recipient of some of the food that you collect? And is that already taken care of for
the
this
Postal
year?
Service itself, we do the collection and the distribution. It's up to our partners, such as Mustard Seed, to distribute the food. The Postal Service, we do our best to really get out there and get as much as we can for the community. But as far as distributing to the communities and the facilities that need that kind of food, that's up to our partners, and we truly applaud Stacy and partners just like her out there doing all this for us.
Stacy, how do you do it? How do
Well,
you divvy it all up?
Well, first of all, we do have a food bank in St. Lucie County. And in that food bank, there's many, many agency partners. So obviously, we're going to go with the partners that are already giving food out into the community. So we did send a notice out to everyone that we were doing this. And in return, the names I read off to you are the names that responded to want to be part of this and being able to do so. And it was good because geographically it's everywhere from the Up Center and the Image of Christ at our north end of town to St. Vincent de Paul's and the agencies that are down in the south side and who's ever in the middle. So we wanted to make sure that the whole community got involved with it. So with us having 10 partners right now to date, and it doesn't mean that the other agencies would not be able to, we're in need as well, and we'll definitely be looking at that as well.
And because it's an annual food drive, it's something that you're always looking to next year and
Correct,
to
yeah.
see what else you can do next year. Mitch, what are some of the challenges you have when you're out and about and you're collecting the food?
Well, it's we get kind of used to our typical day, which our mail volume is typically very high, and our parcel volume currently is pretty high. So our vehicles are only so big. There you go. We have to also accommodate our normal mail volume, but addition the donations, and it's just a logistic kind of challenge for us as carriers to, manipulate another. I don't know what a bag of food weighs, but 6-7 pounds. Somebody donates 3 bags.
Yeah.
Down the street, you end up with 40 bags. I mean, it's a lot of volume. It truly is, and we do our best to be safe out there doing this, so we don't have any strains or any injuries, which is, knock on wood, hasn't happened lately.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just the logistics and getting the food and the mail in kind of a conducive way to make the delivery and the collection of the food work out on that day. And the post office, they allow us to do this, and without their approval and their assistance, and none of this would be possible. So the United States Postal Service has really stepped up and given us the chance to do this.
Do you ever have to go back to the post office in between your mail carrier
It does
stops?
happen. It does happen. If the vehicles do get overloaded, we will have to deviate and return to our station and/or a collection spot relatively close to the delivery area, which we do have. Stacy has several remote spots where we could do that. But yeah, that is possible. And we also do have volunteers that will come out and, pickup truck or a trailer and help the carriers along unload their vehicles, halfway through the route, 3/4 through the route, so we're not overloading the vehicles and stuff. So that's just another part of it.
So once you collect everything and you have it, what the next step is? You do have volunteers, Stacy? Are you looking for volunteers for that?
All of the above, yes. So yes, we are looking for volunteers. And to run this the right way and to make sure everything is covered, we're looking in the need of anywhere from 180 to 200 volunteers. So the agencies obviously are going to bring some, but we need the community. And I will tell you, kids need hours for school.
They do.
And they can come out with their parents. If they're over 16, parents can come in and sign them up with the waiver with what we have. And again, if the family wants to come out as a whole to volunteer, they can do that as well.
What a great way to set an example for your family is to go out together and volunteer. So how do they sign up to volunteer to do this?
They can call Mustard Seed at 772-465-6021. And we would give them all their details, locations, what to wear, everything about it.
And are you looking at May 11th? That day, or is it following that day?
It's May 11th.
It is on May 11th.
It's a one-day food drive.
So what a terrific way to celebrate Mother's Day, too. If you really want to give to your mother, then let her see you giving to others.
That's a very good point. Very good point.
I think that's it, and that's exactly right. And I'll tell you, it's tiring. It's a long, long day. It's a lot of work. But at the end of the day, when you see those numbers and what those scales tipped, that made every ounce of it worth it.
So you said that some of the foods that you're looking for are canned meals, like chili and beef stew and mac and cheese and tuna fish and canned chicken. But in addition, canned fruit is very important too.
Yes.
And we're still looking a week or so in advance here. So you have time to shop the sales.
The buy one, get ones are wonderful.
Buy one, get one. And when you look at the buy one, get ones and say, oh, I would never use all of that canned pineapple. Yeah, but somebody else will.
Somebody else down the road might.
Or buying, in bulk and buying the big multi-packs of tuna fish or beef stew or vegetables. We didn't even get into the vegetables, the green beans, corn, because those are important too.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So, and desserts, that's kind of nice if you throw some desserts in. I know what we do on a regular basis is that we go through the cabinets and pull things out, especially when my kids were little. They would have a favorite food one week, and then the following week, they didn't want any part of it. And it was really a good opportunity to pull that food out that was fresh and not past the sale-by date, but still useful to somebody else's family and not to mine. Anything else that we need to know about the May 11th collection? The bags are going to be coming out. You'll get a note in the mail. The bags
Get a postcard in the mail earlier that week and a bag in the mailbox midweek to later on that week, just as a reminder. And then the actual food drive on Saturday.
If you have more than what fits in that bag, can you put out other bags?
You can, but we kind of go back to the overloading. We appreciate everybody's participation in this, but if you have large quantities of food, by all means, you should visit your food bank, your food shelter, your soup kitchen personally, and
that's
drop
a good
those
point.
things off.
So if
you do have large quantities or boxes and boxes of things,
don't put them out for the mail carrier.
No, yeah. There's all sorts of agencies. Stacy can enlighten you to which ones that take donations. But yeah, if you're going to be really a giving person, we so much appreciate it, but let's try to do it the right way.
Yeah, we'll try to directly source it and skip the mail carrier having to carry it, and then the volunteers having to move it, and then to take it to another location.
Most food banks just openly accept donations, so that should not be an issue. If you have a very large quantity of things you would like to donate.
And on the Treasure Coast Food Bank's website, and you click on partners, you'll see anybody can go to that website, and any of those agencies would be able to help anyone in need of food.
All right. So the thing to know is the week of May 11th, you are going to get the week before May 11th.
Correct.
You're going to get that bag, fill up the bag, put it out for the mail carrier on May 11th. If you have more than what fits in that bag, or you have a lot of food, then go ahead and take it directly to a source.
Yeah. And if you by chance don't happen to receive a bag, by all means, you can use a Publix bag, a Walmart bag. It's typically going to be a plastic shopping bag you're quite accustomed to at any grocery store.
And I will tell you, if you use one of the plastic grocery bags, they're not quite as strong as the ones that you hand out. Yours are a little stronger. So you may want to double bag them.
That's a great one, Sue Ellen.
I'd hate to see those postal carriers dropping cans.
And they do
feet.
get kind of roughed around. It's kind of rough and tumble back there.
There's all sorts of issues that you have to deal with. Well, we are so grateful that you took the time to come here.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me. This is just wonderful.
And Stacy, I'm really glad you suggested it, because it's a whole different perspective to hear from the mail carriers themselves about why they started this and how they do it and what they deal with every day.
It is. And for us, we're coming just exactly why they started it. This is the time of year we start getting pretty low. School's going to let out. The children are going to be out there. Are some feeding programs, but not everybody can get to one.
Right.
So this gives us an opportunity to really turn around and put some food out into the community, right along with all these other partners that I mentioned. So,
and keep those pantries stocked up until the holidays roll back around in the fall.
And then there can be other food drives as well. So during the summer, there are feeding programs that are out there for families, and most of the agencies you described, they ramp up their feeding programs for children.
Correct, they do. Mustard Seed, we do 200 families that we work with that will receive bags every week for all 10 weeks of the summer. And these are people that are identified through the school system as our highest need, and then we actually make sure they're delivered to the home. But that we're just one of many, many programs that are out there. And again, the Boys and Girls Club is a site. You look for sites and that information.
Yeah, I was just going to mention the Boys and Girls Club. Not only are they a site for people picking up food, but they also serve hot meals for the kids during the summer, which is awesome. And a lot of times that can take them through, and then they can just have a can of tuna or something little for dinner.
Right.
So again, May 11th is the day you're picking up. The week before, you can put the bags out. Stacy Malinowski is with Mustard Seed. She's the program director, and you can call her for more information or if you want to volunteer. And Mitch Mullin has been here. He is a US Postal Service mail carrier. Feet on the ground. Be kind to your carriers.
Thank them.
Most of our customers are very considerate, so we're blessed there.
That's good to hear. You've been listening to the Sue Ellen Sanders Show, and there'll be more in just a few minutes. Welcome back to the Sue Ellen Sanders Show, and we are continuing our commitment to communities by talking to Christina Kaiser, and she is the Community Relations Director for CC Kids, which stands for Communities Connected
For Kids.
For Kids. And
you had it. You
yes.
just didn't know.
I was just hesitating there. Yeah. And that's your new name. It's been about a year since you.
We did. We went through a total rebranding I guess we started this time last year. It was very quickly done. But well done, if I don't say so myself.
I agree.
But yes, as of July 1st, we became Communities Connected for Kids. Formerly, we were Devereaux Community-Based Care of Okeechobee and the Treasure Coast, which was a mouthful. So we went from a really big mouthful to just a mouthful, and then we shortened it
to CC Kids, which is awesome. And the important thing is the mission. And, I agree, Devereaux didn't really identify what you were doing and who you were serving.
Right. We really wanted a name that reflected who we were and that really spoke our mission. And so we serve 4 communities, Indian River, St. Lucie, Martin, and Okeechobee counties. We serve several communities. We are all connected in that mission to ensure the safety, permanency, and well-being of all children, and we're for kids. So it's all right there. It says it all. We're very happy. We did a community-wide contest to come up with that name, and so it was a fun adventure. It was a lot of work, but we're really happy with the results.
And that's what counts.
Yes.
It is. The last time I saw Christina, she was sitting at a table at the St. Lucie County Fire Station, Fire District headquarters, and she was painting people's fingernails blue. And we were just admiring. You have fresh blue on yours, and my blue has kind of worn off. But what was the reason for this awesome campaign?
Oh, I'm so happy to be here talking about this because, as you know, April is Child Abuse Awareness and Prevention Month. And so we joined with our partner community-based care agencies throughout the state of Florida in this wonderful initiative called the Manicure Movement. And its emphasis is on man. And you mentioned, you saw me at the fire station painting people's nails, but specifically, of course, we painted everyone's nails, anybody who wanted to. You were there.
Yes.
But we really focused on the men, and so it was so much fun. We had, from 9 until 3 o'clock, we had fire truck after fire truck and law enforcement personnel just come in and get one fingernail painted. And the whole point of that is it's a very visual initiative, because by pointing one fingernail painted blue in prevention blue, that's the color of child abuse prevention, we are beginning a conversation in the community that 1 out of 5 children, 1 finger out of 5 fingers, right? Get it? Mm-hmm. Manicure. One out of 5 children will be abused by the time they turn 18. And we think that's a very powerful message, and that everyone in the community needs to know that, and we need to be talking about it, especially during this month of April, Child Abuse Prevention Month. And so the reason we focus on men is because
they don't usually get their nails painted.
That's right. They don't usually get their nails painted. So if you have these big, burly, hunky guys out in the community, they're normally fighting fires and fighting crime, and they're out there with one nail painted blue, people are going to ask. And Chief Spera, the fire chief, he was so funny. He had, we coordinated this through his office. Brenda Stokes, who I know from other initiatives in the community, she put it all together. But he wasn't quite, I don't think he realized exactly what it was. And so he didn't want to really at first commit that, commit all of his people to come and be a part of this. But we got there that morning, and the police chiefs from both cities were there. Chief Spera was there. They had all these people showing up, and we were painting nails, and he looked down on us from upstairs, and he saw what was going on, and I think it just hit him, because then he got on the phone and he said, all right. He called, and he had all of his firehouses come
stop by
throughout the day. So, and not even the firehouses, but fire prevention was there. Everybody was there. So it was this wave of people, of men and some women, because of course we're in those fields too now, right?
Right.
So we just had this constant wave of people coming in and getting their one fingernail painted blue. And Chief Spera had even commented later in the day that he had indeed been asked several times so far that day why his fingernail was painted blue. So we know it works.
And, you're talking about the visual of that. And we did, the people, like it was myself and Deb and Tony who came and showed up from the Early Learning Coalition. And then we went back to our office and spoke to the office of 25 people. And the next day at lunchtime, we painted their one fingernail blue. And it's such a quick and easy visual, because you say one nail starts the conversation. 1 out of 5 children are abused before they're 18, and that is people look at it. It's like, so you look at your hand, you got 5 fingers. One of those, it's a very visual comment, and it's easy to do. You don't have to think twice about it. So all of those 25 people went out, and then hopefully they went home, and their husbands or wives or kids said, why is your fingernail painted blue? And the best thing about it, Christina, is that you don't have to go anywhere to do it. You can stop by the dollar store and get a bottle of blue nail polish for $1, and then sit wherever at lunchtime. If you're a teacher in that half hour at school, it's going to take you about 5 minutes to paint everybody one nail blue.
Right. And we actually, you touched on a really important aspect of this initiative, and that is it's the ability to replicate it in other offices. And when we started, we created several small kits, and we'd give them out to different organizations and businesses in the community, encourage them to do exactly what you did. Sit around at lunch hour and paint everybody's nails blue, and then, go out into the community and start that conversation. And this was the first year we participated in it. It's actually the 3rd year in the state. Our sister agency in Orlando, called Embrace Families, they actually started it. And so this was the first time in our local community, and I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know how quickly people would grab onto it and want to do it in their own spaces. But within the first week, I was out of all those materials. And so I'm really glad you said that, because that's the great thing too. You can just get a bottle of nail polish and do it. And people ask all the time, what can I do to help? And of course, not just in April, but throughout the year. And, sometimes that can be a little complicated of a question to answer, because what we really need in our system are foster parents. And that is that is a very big commitment. And so this is something, this right here is something that anybody can do. It helps us to advocate. It helps us to educate. And those two things are incredibly important so that we can create a system of care that surrounds our children and helps us to provide greater and more resources for them. And it all starts with a conversation.
And one of the other things that you're probably aware of too is if a child is being abused or neglected or in some type of situation where they're afraid to say anything, if, say, for example, their teacher or their friend or their friend's mother has got one nail painted blue and they say why it's painted blue, then maybe that child will think to themselves, well, it's not just me that this is happening to. It's 1 out of 5, and that's a lot of people, and so it's okay for me to ask for help.
That is a beautiful statement that you just made, and it hadn't even occurred to me, but you're absolutely right. I had been asked by a couple of people, how do we tailor this for children? And to be honest with you, that was something that I had sort of put away
because you have to
for
be
next
so
year.
Careful, yeah.
Right, and to help and to figure out, how do we message this for children? But I just love what you just said. You're absolutely right. It hadn't even occurred to me how it could also have an impact, direct impact on children, especially in the schools, because we've been doing this with a lot of schools. We were invited to, I hope I don't get this wrong, Renaissance Charter of St. Lucie County. Not too long ago, we participated on a Facebook Live
I saw you.
event. Oh, yay! So we participated there, and so I know that they too were going to be they were going to be participating as a school in the Manicure movement. So they would have teachers and administrators also walking around school with that one blue nail, and it hadn't occurred to me how much of an impact that could make on the children themselves, because you're right, 1 in 5 means that they are your neighbors. They are in school with your children. They are at church with you. They're 1 in 5 children.
And something else to consider too is if you are an 8-year-old or a 10-year-old and you've been being abused in some way your whole life, you don't know necessarily that that's a wrong thing. You don't know. You may not be aware that it's a bad thing. You may think that everybody else has that kind, that's just the way somebody is showing their love, and not to get too detailed or complicated, but a
child might just think that's what's normal.
Yeah, they might think that's life is normal. And to be able to have an opportunity to open the conversation, or to know that the conversation is open, that your teacher or your mom or your friend or your somebody else is aware that there's an issue out there, and to know that you could talk to somebody about it, and maybe it'll turn out that you're not that your dad was just mad that day and he slapped you, but it was a one-time thing, and so he didn't mean to, and he just lost his temper, and that one incident doesn't mean you're being abused, because when you're 8 years old, you don't know. And you have girls too. Mm-hmm. I had a child, a girl child, who when she was a preteen would look at me and tell me that she knew more than me. And I actually have a niece who called 911 on my sister to report her because she wouldn't take her to the mall. And I am not kidding here.
Yeah.
And God bless the people who responded to that 911 call, because you have to. If someone calls you, you have to respond, because you never know what the situation is. And so
if a child tells you that they're being abused, in Florida, we are all mandated reporters. It is mandatory. If you suspect that a child is being abused or neglected, if you know that they're being abused or neglected, or if a child tells you that they're being abused or neglected, you are required to pick up the phone and call that number, 1-800-96-ABUSE.
And anyhow, the sheriff's department came to the door, and my sister said she's not being abused. She's just upstairs. And the deputy
She just
said,
can't
I'm
go to the
sorry,
mall."
ma'am. I'm sorry, ma'am. I have to see her and talk to her. And he saw her and he talked to her, and she admitted that she just wanted to go to the mall. And he gave her a little lecture. And he said, if you do this again, you're going to be in big trouble. And so he supported the mom there, but you just never know. I'm totally off on a tangent here.
That's a good
but
story,
you
though.
just never know when you're going somewhere, when you're around somebody, what their situation is. Everybody's situation is different, and it's the most important thing, I think, and what the manicure movement has done an awesome job of so far this month is opening the conversation.
Right.
Because when you talk about it, you learn about it. When you learn about it, then you can teach.
Absolutely. And one of the things that, again, I think you touched on it a little bit right there in your story is, what is child abuse? What's it look like? I mean, is it how, you've got your family dynamics, and you've got, if you really sit down and think about it, maybe not everybody would have a universal understanding of what child abuse is, but you can't hurt your children.
That's exactly the point I was trying to make when I went off on my tangent. I'm glad you rescued it, Christina. So what's next for CC Kids? You've had a very interesting April, and it's almost over, but you are working on programs all year round. And of course, one of your main focuses is on foster children and families. And so all year round you have something going on.
We really do, and we are actually getting ready. We move out of Child Abuse Prevention Month and right into Foster Care Month. So May is Foster Care Month nationally, and we have a number of things that we do in our community to recognize that, and also to appreciate the families who we have right now in our community. We have about, I believe right now we're at right around 140 foster families in our 4-county area. It's not enough. We need more.
So you have a waiting list?
We do
of
not
children?
have a. Well, that's sort of a loaded.
Okay.
That's a loaded phrase, because as the community-based care agency responsible for child welfare, we do not have a waiting list. We're not allowed to have a waiting list. So when
there's gotta be a place
when
for
a
everybody.
child is abused or hurt, or that case comes to us and we take it. Period. And if it's so egregious, the child is in imminent danger, the child is being hurt, then child has to be removed from home. Not all children do. Many children come into our system of care and they can remain safely at home while their family receives services. But many children do have to be removed because of danger. And in that case, we need to find and identify relatives that they can live with, or neighbors, teachers. We call them fictive kin or non-relative caregivers. Or they will come into what we call licensed care, which is foster homes, or into group care. And when we don't have enough foster homes, and I can't overstate this, we do not have enough foster homes, then things like sibling groups being split up or young children being placed in group care occurs. And we don't want to see that happen. There's a place in our system for every resource that we have. Our group homes are a critical part of any child welfare system. However, it can't be the default placement when you don't have enough foster homes. It just can't be. Children need to be placed together with their brothers and sisters. They should not be traumatized again. Of course, that initial trauma, they're abused, that's the trauma, and then they're traumatized again by being removed. So we don't want to pile on by removing them from their brothers and sisters. And we certainly don't want to place children who are under the age of 5, really under the age of 10 in group care. There's a better place, and that's a foster home, and we are looking for more always. And I said earlier that becoming a foster parent is a very large commitment. We don't take it lightly. We can't. These are other people's children that we have the enormous responsibility for, and we don't take that lightly. So we are constantly recruiting for new foster families.
So what are you looking for when you are recruiting? There's a step process, a multi-step process.
We actually, that's one of the, we started talking about the different activities going on throughout the year. And one of the things we do every single month, we have an interagency subcommittee, really. It's a recruitment committee. We work with several of our recruitment agencies, as well as the Guardian Ad Litem program. And that's worked very well. We go into the schools through our One School, One Child program. We go out to groups and organizations in the community, and we work together. So we present to our different audiences what it's like. We have a foster parent who joins us. We have a Guardian Ad Litem, because I don't know if you're familiar with that program.
Yes, I am.
But it's such a great fit for us to recruit together, because maybe somebody isn't ready to become a foster parent, but maybe they would be willing to be an advocate, become a guardian, which is a 4 times a year commitment, right? So I shouldn't say that. They visit children once a month, and they appear in court with them on a quarterly basis. So the commitment, it's still a commitment, but it's considerably less of one than becoming a foster parent. So we do this together, and we do this with our foster parents and our recruitment agencies, and we go out and we talk to people, and we show them what it's like, and we let people ask us questions, ask questions of people who are on the ground floor doing it every day. And we found that to be very effective. We have a Myth of the Month campaign that we do primarily online, because there are a lot of misconceptions in the community about who can and can't be a foster parent. You don't have to be rich. You don't have to be, you can be single or married. You can be LGBTQ. You can be, from the faith community. You can rent your home. You can own your home. There really are, it's a case-by-case basis. We bring you into a class that by the time we're done with that class, what the full commitment will be, and it's really at that point that the decision is made.
Does the commitment of time change in different cases, or is it so what is the typical placement of a foster child in your home?
Do you mean the length of time that a child is in a foster home? Wow, that varies widely. I can tell you that the average length of stay for a child in out-of-home care, so in other words, a child who's been removed from home, the amount of time that they stay in care is about 11 months, so just under a year. We do have other children who stay considerably longer. We have a lot of foster parents who they move to adopt certain children. If those children have if their permanency plan is not to be returned to mom and dad, and they are available for adoption, we have foster parents that choose to adopt.
Do you, when you are meeting with the prospective foster parents, do you ask them as well, is this something that you'd like to be a permanent situation, so you know up front the children you're placing and their needs? There is definitely a placement process because we want to match a child to the best home possible, and part of that is finding out what the foster parents' preferences are, what their limitations might be, whether they're equipped to take a baby or whether they're better equipped for teenagers. And when they come in through the licensing process, all those questions are asked. So if you become a foster parent, Sue Ellen,
you would have the opportunity to say, I'm really not comfortable with teenagers, or you might be very comfortable with teenagers, and all those questions are sorted out during the licensing process.
But the important thing to remember is that you can get all the information that you need by contacting Christina or somebody with CC Kids, or you can go online.
Yes, we have upcoming classes for foster parents, always online, usually updated, and you can find that at cckids.net. Easy peasy.
So yeah, you can look at cckids.net and find out more with us leading right into May's right around the corner here for foster. What'd you call it? Foster Children Month?
It's National Foster Care Month.
Foster Care Month. So if it's something that you might have thought about before, might be interested in, Christina, as you said, there's a lot of myths out there. So find out the facts, and you could do that by contacting someone coming to an introductory program or checking out online. Christina Kaiser has been my guest, and she is the development director, the community development director of Communities Connected by Kids.
For kids.
For kids. CC Kids. And if you want to get in touch with them, you can look them up online at cckids.net, or if you want to contact somebody by phone, you can call them at.
Yes, you know what? I always give my direct number,
Okay.
my number. You can call me at 772-528-0362.
Awesome. And we'll have that information here too. You're listening to this on the weekend, but call us Monday through Friday if you want more information. Thanks for joining me today. We'll see you next week with more.
The Sue Ellen Sanders Show. Archives are on YouTube.